sure you must have seen my earlier two parts on this poem, wherein I have read the poem for you, discussed new vocabulary, and explained the poem line by line. The poet T.S. Eliot has so beautifully written this poem that it actually takes you into an imaginary world. In that world, this poem makes you believe that such a character really exists. He has been portrayed like a criminal in this poem, and he is a confusion to the entire police of London. Why? Because whenever it commits a crime, it is never there. It vanishes into thin air. It is never found by the police, however much they try. MACAVITY also has magical powers. He can also defy or disobey the law of gravity. Gravity in the sense that he can just raise himself up and move in the air, which is also called as power of levitation. He is a ginger cat. His eyes are sunken in, his whiskers are out, and if you see him, he has a dusty coat because of the neglect. He doesn't have time to clean himself, and his head or his eyebrows are always lined with thoughts, as if the mind is full of thoughts and he's thinking about something every moment. MACAVITY has been described as a devil in a cat's shape. He's a monster because he has all the immoral values inside him. He is a monster of depravity. But whatever we may think, he is very cunning. In your day-to-day life, you may find him in a by street or in a square. But whenever he commits a crime, he is not to be seen anywhere. So that's the total summary of this poem. A very entertaining one, a very interesting one. And I hoped you liked to read this poem. Today, it's time to know about the poetic devices used in this poem, and also solve the textbook exercises and think about the answers of the questions. So without much ado, let's start with the poetic devices first. Poetic devices. Poetic devices are tools which a poet uses in his poem to enhance either its rhyme or the meaning of the poem or the emotions that he puts into it. Now these tools can be like alliteration, simile, metaphor, exaggeration, refrain, repetition, and so on. Now let's talk about which poetic devices has T.S. Eliot used in the poem MACAVITY the Mystery Cat. The first one is personification. Personification is used to give human-like attributes or characteristics to either an object or an animal. In other words, if an object or an animal behaves like humans, speaks like humans, thinks like humans, then that poetic device is called as personification. As you have read in the entire poem, MACAVITY is completely personified, because here in this poem, MACAVITY hasn't been treated like a cat. It has been treated like a human being who is a hardcore criminal. So this entire poem has got the poetic device personification. The next poetic device used here is repetition. Repetition is very easy to understand, and as the name suggests, if you have a word or a phrase being repeated many times in a poem, then it is called as repetition. The word MACAVITY in this entire poem has been repeated at many places. So we can say that there is repetition used in this poem. Let's look at some examples of repetition. MACAVITY, MACAVITY, there is no one like MACAVITY. And when you reach the scene of crime, MACAVITY is not there. Once and once again, MACAVITY is not there, etc. The third poetic device used here is alliteration. Now alliteration is used when you have two back-to-back words which have the same initial sound. Now there can be an exception in this alliteration. Some feel that alliteration is the repetition of a letter, but a letter or an alphabet may sound differently in different words. So generally we take the repetition of sounds. For example, MACAVITY's mystery, it's repeated, so this is alliteration. Head is highly, her and her of head and highly is repeating, so that is alliteration. Side to side is also alliteration because it has the initial sound sir, that is repeated. The next poetic device is exaggeration. Now let's understand what does exaggeration mean. You are trying to tell something to other, but you tell it in such a way that you increase its intensity while speaking. Means you represent something through your words that it feels that such a small thing has grown into this big. So it could either be better or it could be worse. So instead of conveying what the thing exactly is, you are using words to exaggerate it, to intensify it, make it look like a bigger thing. So this kind of poetic device is called as exaggeration. There are certain lines in the poem which exemplify this poetic device, like his powers of levitation, bafflement of Scotland Yard, a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. These are all exaggerations which have been given for MACAVITY the mystery cat. Now in one line of the poem, T.S. Eliot has also used simile. Now what's a simile? Simile is a poetic device where you are comparing two things with the help of the words like or as. Let's look at the line in which he has compared. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. Now there are two things compared here. MACAVITY's head, which moves from side to side, and the movement of a snake. The snake also moves from side to side. It sways when it dances. So these two movements are compared, and if you notice here in this line, there is a presence of the word like. So whenever there is a comparison and you have the word like or as present in that line, it will definitely be a simile. Okay students, so that is all under the poetic devices section of this poem. Let's move on to the textbook exercises now. Let's start working with poem, page number 51. First question, read the first stanza and think. Is MACAVITY a cat really? The answer is no. If not, who can MACAVITY be? The answer is, it is an imaginary fictional character. Question number 2. Complete the following sentences. Let's do it. First part. A master criminal is one who commits big crimes. Part 2. The Scotland Yard is baffled because he never gets caught by the police. Third. Dash because MACAVITY moves much faster than them. What could be the answer here? We can write, the flying squad is not able to catch him because MACAVITY moves much faster than them. Coming to question number 3. A cat, I'm sure, would walk on a cloud without coming through. It's written by Jules Verne. Which law is MACAVITY breaking in the light of the comment above? Now, if he is walking on the cloud, which law will he be breaking then? It is law of gravity. Coming to the fourth question, Read stanza 3 and then describe MACAVITY in 2 or 3 sentences of your own. Now stanza 3 describes the physical appearance of MACAVITY. Do you remember what all we had learnt in the poem? Let's put it point-wise. MACAVITY is a cunning and cautious cat. He is tall, thin, and always lost in thoughts. And third point that we can write here is his coat is dirty and uncombed. Question number 5. Say it false or true for each of the following statements. First, MACAVITY is not an ordinary cat. True. Second, MACAVITY cannot do what a fakir can easily do. False. Third, MACAVITY has supernatural powers. True. Fourth, MACAVITY is well dressed, smart and bright. False. And fifth, MACAVITY is a spy, a trickster and a criminal all rolled in one. Yes, it is true. Question number 6. Having read the poem, try to guess whether the poet is fond of cats. If so, why does he call MACAVITY a fiend, a monster? Well, the poet admires the cat for his swift movement and the way he deceives the police. But he is a lawbreaker also, and that is why the poet calls him a fiend, means a devil, and a monster. Coming to the last question of the poem, has the poet used exaggeration for special effect? Find a few examples of it and read those lines aloud. Exaggeration means making something seem very big. So let's try to answer this question. Yes, the poet has used exaggerations for special effect. The few examples could be the following lines of the poem. He is the bafflement of Scotland Yard and flying squad's despair. Second line could be his power of levitation. And third line of the poem that we can write here is a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. So students, here we finish the question answers of the poem. Let's move ahead. That's all in this session. In my next video, I'll come up with a new topic. Till then, take good care of yourself, stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you.